Imagine the dark, unforgiving expanse of the North Atlantic Ocean in the absolute dead of night. The wind is not merely blowing, it is roaring with a deafening, high-pitched whistle, accelerating rapidly to terrifying hurricane speeds. A 12-point storm on the Beaufort scale, a force 12, is not simply bad weather or a passing winter squall. It is the absolute, unbridled fury of nature. In these extreme conditions, the ocean completely loses its familiar form and transforms into a chaotic, terrifying landscape of gigantic, foaming mountains of water. For any mariner, regardless of their decades of experience or the size of their vessel, encountering such an apocalyptic element is the ultimate worst-case nightmare. But what happens when, amidst this already terrifying chaos, a freak anomaly is born? What happens when the violent ocean mysteriously gathers all of its fragmented, destructive power into a single, monolithic wall of solid water, a wave the height of a 10-story building that rises abruptly and silently directly in the ship's path? Today, we are going to tell the incredible story of how one of the most famous and beloved ocean liners in the world came face to face with a hurricane and miraculously survived the direct, devastating impact of a 29-meter rogue wave. This is the legendary story of the Queen Elizabeth II. In early September 1995, the prestigious Cunard Line's flagship, affectionately known worldwide as the QE2, set out to execute her classic, time-honored routine. Departing from the historic docks of Southampton, United Kingdom, the legendary ocean liner embarked on her regular, highly anticipated transatlantic crossing. Her destination was the iconic skyline of New York City, a traditional voyage across the open ocean that was about to become anything but ordinary. For decades, this specific transatlantic route has represented the pinnacle of maritime travel, a journey that typically takes about 5 to 6 days of continuous, high-speed movement across the vast, unbroken expanse of the Atlantic Ocean. The magnificent liner set off on her voyage with thousands of passengers on board. These travelers were expecting nothing less than the traditional, customary Cunard experience, a luxurious, smooth, and entirely comfortable arrival at the shores of North America, filled with elegant dinners and relaxing evenings. They had no idea they were sailing directly toward a meteorological phenomenon that would test the very limits of human engineering. As the luxurious voyage progressed westward into the open ocean, the atmosphere on the command bridge began to shift. The crew received severe meteorological warnings regarding Hurricane Luis. This was no ordinary storm. Luis was an exceptionally powerful, sprawling Category 4 tropical cyclone that was currently raging and churning its way through the western part of the Atlantic Ocean. Evaluating the immense threat, the master of the vessel, the highly experienced Captain Ronald Warwick, made a logical, calculated navigational decision. Recognizing the sheer destructive power of a Category 4 system, he decided to alter the ship's original course. He ordered the QE2 to steer a path slightly further south, an evasive maneuver designed specifically to bypass the most dangerous, violent epicenter of the storm. However, Hurricane Luis possessed a truly colossal scale. Its destructive wind field stretched for hundreds of miles. Even though the QE2 was navigating only on the storm's outer periphery, the ocean conditions were exceptionally restless and hostile. The wind rapidly reached sustained hurricane force values, howling relentlessly through the ship's upper superstructure. The height of the ocean's swells consistently held at a terrifying level of 10 to 12 meters, roughly 33 to 40 feet. Because of this intense, relentless pitching and the aggressive, unpredictable movement of the vessel in the chaotic seas, many passengers began feeling severely nauseous. The physical toll of the storm was undeniable, and for their own absolute safety, passengers were strictly forced to remain inside their cabins, waiting in uncomfortable anticipation as the massive liner battled the endless, towering swells of the North Atlantic. The most dramatic, terrifying event of the entire voyage occurred in the absolute dead of night on September 11, 1995, at approximately 2 a.m. For hours, the QE2 had been confidently and steadily overcoming the massive storm waves, her powerful engines pushing her forward. But then, the predictable rhythm of the storm was suddenly shattered. The massive vessel abruptly fell into a deep, terrifying waterhole, an abnormally massive trough, a gaping depression located squarely between two massive swells. In that very same split second, as the ship's bow plunged into the dark abyss, a gigantic vertical wall of solid water grew directly along her course. This was a rogue wave, sometimes referred to as a freak wave or a killer wave. It is an incredibly rare, highly dangerous, and entirely unpredictable natural phenomenon. Rogue waves occur due to the sudden, perfectly timed merging of several different wave trains in a stormy ocean. When their paths cross and their kinetic energies sum together, they create a brief, monstrous anomaly that defies standard wave models. The height of this specific wave, as officially recorded by the precision instruments on the ship's bridge, was an unbelievable 29 meters, approximately 95 feet. Captain Warwick, standing watch in the darkened command center, witnessed the impossible. He later described this blood-chilling, terrifying moment with a phrase that has become legendary in maritime history. It looked as though the ship was heading straight for the famous White Cliffs of Dover. There was no time to turn, no time to prepare. A colossal wave crashed into the bow of the liner with unimaginable, catastrophic force. Thousands of tons of heavy ocean water smashed directly into the thick glass windows of the bridge, located at an impressive height of over 20 meters above the waterline. The entire massive ship shuddered from the incredibly powerful blow, a terrifying sensation that felt like a high-speed collision with a massive concrete wall. Inside the heavily reinforced belly of the ship, the immediate consequences of the massive impact were deeply felt by everyone awake. The sudden violent deceleration and the shuddering lurch of the vessel caused chaos in the public areas. Unfastened furniture, chairs, and various interior design items scattered and flew across the grand lounges and passenger cabins. Down in the ship's shopping promenades, a multitude of goods cascaded massively from their display shelves, littering the floors with broken merchandise. However, the Queen Elizabeth II was not an ordinary standard modern cruise ship, equipped with a flat bottom and a boxy, top-heavy design. She was a true, purpose-built, ocean-going transatlantic liner. She was meticulously designed with a very deep draft, incredibly strong and thick hull plating, and, most importantly, a specially designed, razor-sharp and high bow. This specific architectural shape was created by her Scottish builders for one exact purpose: to efficiently cut and slice right through the fiercest, most punishing waves the North Atlantic could ever throw at her. Thanks entirely to her unique, superior construction and brilliant engineering, the QE2 withstood this crushing, devastating blow without suffering any critical structural damage to her hull. The mighty steel body remained completely intact. Her vital steering and command systems survived the deluge, and her massive engines continued to operate and push the ship forward without a single failure. The legendary liner independently reached the port of New York, serving as living, undeniable proof of the absolute genius of her shipbuilders and the unwavering professionalism of her dedicated crew. Over the course of a remarkable 39-year career, the Queen Elizabeth II completed 806 transatlantic crossings, battling hundreds of fierce North Atlantic storms along the way. However, the encounter with the 29-meter rogue wave in 1995 remains the absolute peak of her survival story. After sailing more than 5.6 million nautical miles, further than any passenger ship in history, the legendary vessel finally retired. Today, the QE2 rests peacefully far away from the stormy oceans. Permanently docked at Port Rashid in Dubai, she has been meticulously restored and transformed into a luxurious floating hotel. Now, visitors from all over the world can step aboard and touch the incredible history of the ship that defeated the ocean's deadliest anomaly.